Hello, welcome to Just My Thoughts. I'm your host Khaleel Ward, and on this episode, I'll be talking about NBA 2K20's demo. So the demo came out yesterday. I didn't get a chance to play it, so I jumped into it today. I only finished 2 games, but then I was messing around creating builds just to see what the game was like. And honestly, there are some good things and some bad things. The wording is pretty bad, I think, because this is not essentially a demo. This is really just to showcase the My Player creation. So they try to say it's really different, but it's essentially the same thing as you had in previous games. There's still archetypes. They try to say it's not. They just change the way you create your player. It looks better in terms of like the screens that come up and the way everything looks when you create your person. It looks much better than last year's version when you're just walking around to each station and looking ridiculous. But this time around, you can do your face scan, which I never do because it always, well, most of the time it's terrible or it takes me forever to do it. So I didn't do that. Just, created a person, edit their face a little bit. You go in and rather than picking your archetype, you do a skill breakdown, which is essentially picking an archetype. It's a pie chart. Everything is a pie chart. So it still has finishing, shooting, playmaking, and then defense and rebounding is together. So when you pick, depending on how big each part of the pie chart is, that helps determine your archetype, and then what you do with your potential attribute points. So I created like a playmaking shot creator, a point guard, and then a shooting guard. I created a sharpshooting facilitator. Those are the 2 games I finished. I also created a slasher, a small forward, and then like an offensive threat at point guard, just messing around with the different builds. From the skill breakdown, you go to the physical profile, which is another pie chart, which has agility, strength, and vertical. So depending on the size of the chart that you pick, you can have more speed, you can have more strength, determined on your build. Then you go to what's called set potential, which is different. So when you look at the pie chart, it gives you max attributes essentially. So if you're going to be a sharpshooter, you're going to go with the pie chart with the largest shooter, graph. So I think the highest it can go is 95. So then when you set your potential for your shooting, you can go all the way up to 95. And you get a certain amount of attribute points to put in each category, essentially from finishing, shooting, playmaking, defensive rebound. And at first it seems like a good idea, like, oh, they really switching it up and let you pick and choose. But it's like a gift and a curse. So if you essentially just go as a playmaker or a sharpshooter, the attribute points give you badges. So if you do sharpshooter and you increase all your attributes for your sharpshooter, you can get 30 badges for shooting. And that's the max. If you split it, if you like a sharpshooter playmaker or something, you get about 21 badges with each if you max everything out. But the only thing I really don't like, well, it's not the only thing, but the thing I don't like about the attribute points, it's like if you want more badges, you're putting points in things you're not essentially going to use. So if you want more playmaker badges and you're a point guard, you're essentially going to put more points into post moves, which you may not use as a 6'2" point guard. And the same thing goes for a playmaker. It may give you, well, I think the playmaker gives you hook shot and then playmaker gives you post moves. Either way, it's something you're not going to want to use, but you're going to have to put points into it if you want more badges in that category. So essentially it's like, what's more important? Do you want to balance your guy out in terms of numbers, or do you want to get more badges by putting stuff into something you're not going to probably use? So didn't really enjoy that too much. It was cool having some attributes, and of course you're going to go max out what you want to max out. If you want to be a shooter, you're going to max out your shooting and then limit the other things in terms of like defense and offensive rebound, defensive rebounding, block shots. You're not going to always put that stuff up as a point guard or guard in general. Then you go into choosing your body shape, which I don't understand. You cannot rotate the person, so it just gives you different builds. You can be stocky and regular and like slight, but you can't rotate the person to see how it actually looks. and then it goes into the height, the weight, the wingspan, and of course, all of those affect your potential and your physical profile. So if you get taller, you get slower. You can finish better, but you don't shoot as good. If you go smaller, your ball handling goes up. If your wingspan is shorter, you shoot better. Like it's little. It doesn't take a big hit, but weight doesn't take a big hit. Height and wingspan does really affect what goes on with your player. After that, you can choose your takeover. I've seen different builds online where if you make a certain build, you can get 3 takeovers or you can get 5. It's usually like 4 when I created my builds, and you can pick like slasher or catch and shoot, and determines what type of takeover you get, and that's pretty cool. I like that they give you a little bit more leeway, in terms of how you want to take over a game with your character. After you go through that, it gives you similarities to certain players, but the similarities are off. I've seen online that somebody created like a 3-level scorer, and DeMar DeRozan was on that list for some reason. He's not a 3-level scorer because he doesn't shoot 3-pointers. But anyway, then the interesting thing that they do in this is they give you an opportunity to test the build, which sounds great. You get to create this build and then you can test it. And that's essentially what this demo is. It should just be called the 2K20 My Player Tester, because that's all it is. You're testing the build. So testing your build means you can set the overall to whatever you want to set it to, and your stats go up to whatever your stats will be when you set the overall. So I think it starts at 60, but you can go all the way up to 99 to see how your stats are at 99. And then from there, you can set your badges. That is really cool because they don't just give you badges. They show you all the badges that you can get, and with your build, and then you can put bronze, silver, gold, Hall of Fame, and that's really cool. And it's broken down into the playmaker, shooting, defense, rebound, stuff like that. That's really cool because you can really pick how you want to play. You can pick acrobat, and they got a bunch of new badges up. They say 50. It's a lot of new badges. Steady shooter, slippery off ball, which you can move off ball better. Quick draw, which increases your the way you shoot. Animation is faster. Fancy footwork. Slithery finisher to like avoid contact. Fancy footwork is for like Euros and stuff. It's pretty cool. Some of them, like quick draw, probably shouldn't be a badge. It should be something you could fix in jump shooting animation or something like that. But after you do that, you go into a game. You automatically put on the Raptors. You play the Warriors. It's 4 quarters, and that's essentially it. Then you finish, you quit, and then you create another build, and you go from there. So it's not really a demo like last year's demo. You play like 4 or 5 games. You got attribute points. You can change your animations and stuff like that. So it was like more gameplay involved. This one you can't change anything. So you playing on default difficulty. You can't change the speed of the game, anything like that. So you're not really essentially getting a lot of the gameplay. You're just messing around with my player. So then all the YouTubers could come out and say, this is the best build. This is a LeBron James build. This is a Kawhi Leonard build. And that's what they're doing right now. In terms of the gameplay, some of the animations look smoother. D'Angelo Russell, he does the, like when he gets over the pick and roll, when he like waits for you and he puts you on your back, like he puts you on his back. He does that a lot. And then he does like a little floater. Steph was always like, seemed like he got green machine or whatever. But the CPU seemed a little smarter in terms of doing certain things. And the movement looked a little better compared to last year. Again, I'm not like the biggest 2K fan because I just think it's a lot of glitchiness that goes on. Again, it's hard to tell how well your moves are going to actually work on a harder difficulty. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who created people just put it on 99 to see what the best builds are. The first person I created, I put it at like 86 because realistically, a lot of people are not going to hit the 90 something threshold. People are going to pay to hit that 85 threshold, and then they may make it to 90 depending on how long they play. But I don't think a lot of people are going to hit 99. So I put like 88 for the first person I created. Then I went really low because you're going to start low unless you pay for VC. So it's good to see how you're going to play. So I went like 67 with the next person. And then I started another game as like a 70 something just to see the different dynamics. And it's a big difference. When I was in the high 80s, I scored like 30 some points. We lost, but then with the other games, I scored like 17, 18 points, because it was a little tougher trying to score. Again, it's not really a demo. It's more like a my player test out mode for people. I wish there was a little bit more, because you can't really get a feel for the game, because you play it and it's over and it's like, okay, now I got to create somebody else. What do I want to create? And you play around with the numbers, and it's really cool for the content creators out there to just flood YouTube with a bunch of content in terms of which build they should create, and how you get so many badges and stuff like that. But in terms of the attribute points, again, there's going to be things you don't want to put points in, but you're going to do it just to get that extra badge. So you might sacrifice most likely defense, because it seems like people don't really care about defense. And unless you pick a defensive pie chart, it's harder to get badges for that. When I did a defensive minded person, it was easy for my badges to go up. So I had like 17, 18 badges on defense. But when you do like a sharpshooter and you're not focused on defense, you got to really put a lot of stuff into it just to get 3 or 4 badges on defense. So that they still have archetypes, and it's not really as much control as they say, because you're just picking from a pie chart. If they gave you just raw attribute points, like 1,000 attribute points, and said put it anywhere you want, and they actually expanded, I guess, the skills and stuff that they show, because it's just like 3-pointer, mid-range, close shot, dunk, and stuff like that, then it would be more of your player in terms of how you wanted to do it. But people are just going to pick different pie charts and then put their potential a certain way. And like I said, most people, if they want to be a dunker, they're going to put their dunking all the way up. If they want to be a shooter, they're going to put their shooting all the way up. So it's like, it's kind of the same. It just looks different, So it's really familiar. Again, everything looks much better in terms of the way you create the person. It looks smoother. They don't give you all the nicknames and everything like that. But for a demo, it's not great, but it's not like the worst thing I've ever played. It's cool trying to create different archetypes and seeing what you can come up with, but it's not something you just rush out and play. If you have time, check it out. I know the game comes out really soon, and YouTube is about to be flooded with all these videos, and I know some people have early access. But that's just my thoughts on the 2K20 demo. Let me know what you think. What kind of player did you create? Did you play all the games? Because after a while, I just didn't even want to play. I just was messing around, looking at the numbers and stuff like that. But leave a comment, like the video. Thank you for listening. Deuces.